All right, another episode of Conversate After Dark. Tay, what's up with you?
Everything's good with me. What's going on with you?
Not much, trying to stay warm. Tell people how they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, you can reach us at CVAD, the podcast at gmail.com.
That's right. That's right. Hit us up. You want to be on the show. If you want to be anonymous, we can make that happen. But today we have a special guest. All our guests are special, but we have a real special guest. We have Z from North Carolina. Z, what's going on?
Good evening.
Hey.
How you doing? You looking fly with the shades and the scully and all that?
You know, this is my after dark persona.
That's the after dark. All right. So we like to start off with a little game. I'll let Tay handle it.
Yes, we do conversation cards, and I have 3 categories. I'm going to let you choose the category, but we're all going to answer the question. So you can choose from extreme personal questions, who's the biggest pervert, and the sexy 69 after dark.
I will go with the first one. Was it extremely personal?
Yeah.
Yes.
I always want the biggest pervert. Maybe it's because I'm. Hey, it must be something. If Tay respond like that, it's got to be something. It's got to be something.
Well, there are 2 questions on here. Both of them are kind of racy, but I'm gonna ask the one that made me go, "Ooh, okay." What interesting things have been inside your ass?
Oh, interesting. I don't know if any of them are necessarily interesting because I think none of them are really faux pas. I think, outside of the dick and the dildo, I don't think anything else interesting has made its way there just yet.
No banana in the tailpipe. I got you.
No.
Okay. Well,
Mark, do I have to ask you?
Nothing. I mean, I'm a 40-year-old man, so obviously I didn't have the doctor, you know what I mean, do his thing, but anything fun or sexual, no, nothing ever.
Well, that's just awful.
Is it though?
You know, from what I have heard, that can enlighten your experience. Take it to the next level.
You know, I've heard that too. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious, but I ain't ready. I ain't ready for that.
What happened to a 40-year-old man?
I'm not that vulnerable yet. You got to put yourself in a vulnerable position to enjoy that. And I may be shorting myself, but yeah, no. Tay?
Like Z said, other than the obvious, nothing.
Yeah, boring. Nothing.
We're boring. What?
We can say the same about you.
Right.
I'm normal. I guess. So, Z, you're in North Carolina. Married, single, dating, both, all. What you doing?
I am married a little over 6 years.
Okay. All right. Now, 6 years you've been married. Have you noticed any changes from when you first got married to where you're at now with your sex life and how y'all get down in the bedroom?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I think there's a change even from dating to engaged to married. There's been a shift at each of those different stages of the relationship, I would say. I think during that dating stage, I mean, it's like no hose barred. We've actually had that conversation. You know, we would be late to stuff and miss stuff, you know, just getting it fucking all the time. and I was like, man, I remember we used to fuck like rabbits. Yes. Yeah. So definitely have seen some changes. And, you know, you got to, you know, you got to, make it intentional. You got to be intentional to keep it interesting.
Why do you think it changes? Outside of life, familiarity, You know, why you think it changes? Because it's not just y'all; it happens to everybody. I've been married before, so like, what's your opinion on why it changes?
I honestly think it is just life and getting into a routine and getting comfortable, like going from not living together to seeing each other when you can see each other, having a constant day in, day out interaction with each other. Even, taking COVID, being during COVID and being on lockdown and together, 24 hours a day for 2 years straight. We moved into our new house shortly before COVID, and probably within that first year, I was just like, I hate this house. And he's like, we just moved here. I hate it here. I don't want to be here anymore. So I think you just get to that place of um, familiarity, like you said, and just having a routine that works for you, and having to prioritize, even when you're not necessarily aroused or in the mood, how important it is. Um, and then I think just the dynamic shift. He's older, so I'm in my 40s, he's in his early 50s. And I think the sex drives shift as well.
Mhm.
And I think whereas, I may be more, aroused and ready more often, whereas that was him early on. And I wasn't an initiator. That just wasn't my thing. I was never into that. But as our sex life evolved and I became more comfortable with him as my partner, then I'm also more in a position to want to initiate and, get it in.
So this is something that you brought up, something that I've thought about. I've heard people say, there's some people who say that you should schedule when you have sex, and then there are other people who think that it should be spontaneous. So where do you fall on that thought? And have you thought about maybe scheduling it to make it so that it becomes a back to a normal thing?
Yes, and I'm really a proponent of all of the above. So I am very adventurous. I love trying new things, doing new things, but I'm also a planner when it comes to my day-to-day routine. So one of the things I've done is there are these adventure books that you can buy. So they have, for couples, for families, but they also have one for intimacy. So I bought that book. We do counseling together, and our therapist, recommended, well, one of you come up with a scenario that you all are going to incorporate into your sex life. And then the other, tells you what they've come up with. And that's something that y'all are going to do, just to keep it creative and to make sure that whatever the other person may have going on as far as their needs, their wants, I haven't done that in a long time, put it on the table. And that's what we're going to do. And I even think about scheduling, like if we're going on vacation, we just went to St. Martin. And he was like, we're going on fucking vacation. I say, we're gonna fuck while we there too. I mean, it's just, yeah, you got to do it.
So what's a good number if you had to put a frequency on how many times you want to do it a week? What's a good number for you?
4.
That's a lot.
That's not really.
That's a lot. That's a lot when he in his early 50s.
It's not. And for me, knowing him before his early 50s, it's not. I'm like,
Listen,
no, why is that a lot? And
listen,
it
let
doesn't
me tell
have
you
to
something.
be, bang, bang, let's turn flips every time either. Like, if I feel like I need to have an orgasm, then hey, you can make it happen. And I'm good to go. But I'm also that type of partner to where versus it being self-play, I want to be played with by my partner. So versus me touching myself,
Mhm.
I get
Gotcha.
off more with him touching me. So it
Gotcha.
doesn't necessarily have to be full on sex either.
Got you.
It's all of that intimacy goes into that, that 4 times a week.
I think for most guys my age, I'm in my mid 40s. Most of us would say, I mean, of course, there's outliers and dudes who be lying to themselves. Most of us say, like, if we get a 3-night-a-week commitment, we good. So four is good. 4 is good. Now
I
you
was gonna
said
say
like
you
5 to
said
6.
30, and if you look at the things that you can do outside of the general penetration to still get the same result, then just come over here, touch it a little bit. All right, good night. I love you. We all be happy.
I got you. So what are other things you could do for intimacy besides sex? Say he's just like, hey man, I'm not in the mood tonight. What are other ways of intimacy that can satisfy you and keep that connection? Because it's really about the connection, right? Yeah, it's a physical piece in terms of like, yeah, I need to satisfy this urge, this craving that I have, but keeping that connection is important in a relationship.
I would say taking advantage of some of the things that, you know, that you did early on that you consider as foreplay, make that full play. So whether it's oral sex, whether it's, you know, using your hands and touching and feeling, the kissing, all of those things that you consider foreplay can be full play. And you can satisfy your partner with just that. Just like if your woman is giving you head, that can get you all the way to where you need to be. But in some instances, that's considered foreplay, and then you have sex. But it doesn't have to be. You can define it however you want to.
I never heard the term full play.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I never heard the term full play. I've heard some other plays. We ain't gonna say it, but you know, yeah.
The way she explained it, the way you explained it, I could see that being a way to have more intimacy when there isn't, you know, when there isn't any, or when you're trying to spark up more of it. So I was gonna say, before you got married, so you've been married for 6 years. So before that, how was dating in North Carolina?
So I didn't date much in North Carolina. So I actually moved here from California. And it just so happened that in the process of moving here, my husband and I reconnected through a need that I had for a landscaper. He had a separate business as a landscaper, and that's how we reconnected. So I didn't actually date in the Carolinas since I've been back here this last 10 years. And then when I think back to before I lived in California, when I lived in South Carolina and used to come into North Carolina often, you know, I don't know. I've never been one to not find myself in a committed relationship, even if that wasn't what I was looking for. Seems like that's how I would always end up. You know, you'd be like, okay, I'm finna go out, I'm gonna have fun. And then that person just keeps calling, and now all of a sudden you're in a relationship.
You like to get cuffed. You like to be cuffed,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah. And that was my experience. Others from females, you know, and friends that I've made since being here, it's a little bit more difficult. It can be some nonsense, you know, and I think just in that dating and get to know you process of my husband being here and me moving here, that was a growing pain of our relationship. But I also think as a woman here in the Carolinas, you know, you can't waver on what you want. And either we're going to get there or we're not. But if that's not what we're working towards, then I'm also one of those that's like, okay, you know, this field is big on both sides. Well, what are we doing here? Because when we met, we weren't officially a couple, you know, and we were just seeing each other and sleeping together, basically. And he would ask me, so what are we doing? You know, what are we doing? And I felt like that was a setup. And I was like, well, what I can tell you is you're not going to be my fuck buddy forever. That's what I could tell you. So what are we doing here? And that's how we progressed.
Wow. Okay. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel if you friends with benefits fuck buddy, right?
Oh, definitely.
It can go to the next level. It can go to the next level.
It can.
Now, are y'all like monogamous, or like how wild are y'all as a couple?
No, we are monogamous. But I'll tell you though, I think that is my husband's decision for his relationship with me, because he has been married and had relationships in the past and has been part of a swinger lifestyle. And, you know, just do what you do. But no, we are monogamous. Yeah.
Is that how you feel about that? I mean, we've talked to some people, they have like goals to open up their marriage and try different stuff. I mean, obviously it's working. You seem very happy and content. He seems very secure. I mean, you're on the show, you know, and he ain't peering over your shoulder or anything. He might be listening in the other room or something like that. But how's that work? You know, have you ever had that goal in mind or wanted to explore that option?
Not for me, no. We have had that conversation in regards to what each of us needs out of this relationship. And if that's something that he needs out of a relationship, then it's probably is not the relationship for him. But to make sure that if that's, what he needs to, have to satisfy what he wants his relationships to look like, then that's something that we had to discuss. But I think it was kind of, if I'm being honest, it wouldn't have been a lifestyle of equality because he also would have limits on how another man could interact with me, such as it could only be oral, there can't be no penetration, he ain't finna do this, he ain't finna do that. So in that instance, for me as well, that's not gonna work. Then no, that wouldn't work.
Only be oral on you, or you give
Yes,
oral to him?
only oral on me. Yeah, and I'm not doing nothing else,
Yeah.
nor receiving anything else. So
Yeah, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna
right.
that ain't gonna work. Because if you find somebody, well, it could work if you got a lot of game, but I don't see that as being fair, especially if you on your if he's on his side, hypothetically speaking, wilding out, then there's
Exactly.
reciprocity there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now y'all have kids?
We do. So we're a blended family of 8.
Okay.
Wow.
They still in the house?
We have one left at home. Our 16-year-old son is the last one at home.
So how y'all navigate that? Getting it in with a teenager, a nosy ass teenager in the house.
Well, I think the typical teenager nowadays is probably what do they call it? The AirPod, Xbox, cell phone,
Mhm.
Bluetooth speaker, door closed, in my own world teenager. And he is that. We see him before school, after school, when there's hot food, and when you call for him.
And when you call for him, that means you send him a text message, right?
No, oh no, I'm definitely the scream up the stairs
Okay.
and come down. Yeah, yeah, no.
So y'all not having to sneak then. Y'all just, hey, he's tied up, so let's get it in. You got to be
Yeah,
quiet
but
though, right?
even when he was younger, and because before our youngest daughter left and went to college, she was home too. But I don't think we just ever really considered that it would be abnormal if they were to know that we were having sex in this house. Like, yeah, it's never been kind of a thing that would be abnormal to know about sex or like what we were doing or intimacy or that kind of thing. Whatever's going on in our room that's the grown folks room, that's our parents room, whatever they're doing in there. So yeah, it's never been something that I think if it was something that they would have had a question about, then we would have discussed, but it has never been that. And I think we're also, very mindful of the time of day, who's at home, what they're doing. You take all those things into consideration as well. So you're not gonna hear me, screaming and banging on the headboard on a school night. Whereas, on a weekend where it's just us, the door might be open and, lights on and you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was looking at a show on YouTube not too long ago from a sexologist, and she gave 7 things that she wish she had known before she started having sex. So I'm going to ask y'all that question. What are some things that you wish you had known before you started having sex? I'll start because I've been, since I watched, I've been thinking about it. So to give y'all time to think. So I think one thing for me that I wish I had known my own body more. Like I know masturbating or whatever can be taboo, and I was raised kind of religious, so it was not a thing that was talked about. So I wish I had known myself more to be able to let others know how I like to be, pleasured.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I would describe it as things I wish I had known versus things I wish I would have been more comfortable with. Like, I wish I would have been more comfortable telling people what I like and don't like. versus feeling like I need to please this other person. I wish I had known to take more of a stance on self pleasure, versus just focusing on having to be what somebody else needs you to be. Um, because I think like even like with what you mentioned around masturbation, it wasn't something that I, knew about or really heard much about, nor was I into, ever growing up in my 20s, even my 30s, and even now, it's not my first choice. Masturbation can definitely get you to an orgasm, but it doesn't bring the type of pleasure to me that I would get even if my husband were to fondle me in that same way. It's a different experience for me. So self pleasure just isn't, in my top three of I can get it in on my own. Well, yeah, that ain't fun though. Not for me.
I get it.
I think one thing I don't know if it's things I wish I would know or knew. I wish I would have known a woman's body better. You go several years as a man thinking you are putting it down, and then you realize that although all women are different, most of it is kind of the same. There's a couple of spots that you can hit, and well, one woman may not like that spot, she'll like another spot. But I think a lot of us as men weren't educated on how to please women or just basic anatomy, right? Like, okay, this spot and that spot, these are the ones you need to focus on, right? And I'll be honest, it wasn't until I was in my late 30s when I was just like, okay, oh, well, this is what I need to be looking for. Now, I had, obviously pleased women before, but I know that my sex game took a step up once I really knew what I was doing. It wasn't just luck or happenstance. I just happened to hit that spot, right? Versus, okay, this is how you make sure she likes the experience as well. So I think I would change that. And then also being with a woman who is comfortable with herself. Because if you're with a woman who is comfortable with her body and how she sounds, it's a much more enjoyable experience versus, the woman that doesn't, turn the lights off versus the woman like, I don't care if the lights is on, I don't care if it's daytime or whatever. It's a much more fun experience when she is comfortable with her body and her sexuality and everything else that goes with it. So
can I ask you a follow-up question about your first one?
absolutely, even though you the guest.
Well, so I'm curious. So if you had known or been more familiar with the female body and the spots and this or that, do you feel like that would have taken away from your ability to really hone in on each individual woman you were with? Or would you just been in there kind of going through your checklist of, hey, one of these spots has to work?
It's a good question. No, I don't think so. I think I was fortunate enough when I was younger to have a young woman I was with to say, no, stop, do it like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop, do it like this. And I listened, right? But then it took me a while to learn that even though she liked it like that, there's a good majority of women that like it like that as well. But some like, wait a minute, I'm doing it like I'm supposed to do it, and she just laying there. What's going on? I think I enjoy the experience. I'm a pleaser. So the journey, people talk about the journey, like the journey is fun. So I don't think it would change anything for me. It's just like, okay, that didn't work. Well, let me try this. So that's just how I'm wired and how I'm built. But thankfully I had somebody so I wasn't too ignorant to what I was supposed to be doing in the sack. But I can say as a young man, yeah, I could have been better.
Okay.
I would say that. I mean, of course, being vocal. Oh, I would add this too. Don't be with somebody that you don't have sex with somebody you don't really like. Don't have sex with somebody you don't really like.
Like in what way? You mean like as a person or?
As a person, or yeah, just as a person. Like, I mean, practically speaking, I would tell like my young adult children, like, if you can't see yourself being with this person for the rest of your life, you don't need to be raw dogging. You don't need to be really taking any chances with this person because, you know, the potential is there, right? But I would say I don't believe in that soul tie shit that people say. I think that's a hustle, in my personal opinion. I don't believe in soul ties, but I do think that sex is much more enjoyable if you actually know the person. You ain't got to be in love, but if y'all know each other, y'all like each other, and like, you know, want to enjoy that experience, it's much more fun than just, you know, I met you tonight and we just wham bam thank you ma'am. Then wham bam thank you ma'am, you know, they hot and heavy and they fun too.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know.
I've had a couple of
More
those.
fun is the right word.
Well, I mean, it's more fulfilling.
There, yes, I can agree
It's
with
more
that.
fulfilling. More fulfilling. That's how I put it. So
Yeah.
you ever had a one night stand?
I have, and I was just gonna say, I can't say that they weren't more fun. And no, that wasn't the person, you know, that I would want to, you know, have in my space long term. But we did become great friends, and you know, were able to laugh and relive and talk about that experience for years, you know, afterwards. Because what was meant to be, well, so I take that back. I can't say if I've had a one night stand. There have been several instances that should have been one night stand.
Either
But
you had
then
it or
you
you
still
didn't.
talk to that person. You know how you're supposed to have a one night stand and then you don't hear from that person again? But in these, I always talk to the person again. Like it should be a one night stand, but they never leave it there.
Is that the definition? Like y'all meet, y'all hit, and then it's done? That's the definition?
That's what I thought the definition of a one night stand was.
That's what I always thought it was too. Yeah.
Okay.
How would you describe it?
I mean, I guess I could agree with that. I could agree with that. I mean, I always try to hit again though. Like I like to
So then not a one
I like
night.
to believe I could come back around. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
So then it's
I
not
like
a
to
one
believe.
night.
Hey, I like to believe if you gave it to me when I was 19, I could still get that ass. You know what I'm saying? That's how most dudes think. You let me fuck once, I can fuck again. Trust me.
That's not
And
always the
I
case.
guess I'm one of those. I will toe that line. Yep, we might fuck once because I wanted to, just to prove to you that you're not gonna fuck me again.
What you proving? Shit, I didn't won.
You didn't win because the first time was for both of us. It's your intent or what you feel like you can accomplish after that one night, where it's this. No, that's not the reality.
How many times you had a one night stand? Has it been multiple times?
Well, what should have been one night stands, yes, ended up being multiple times. The one night stand, as in I'm not gonna sleep with you again, but then you just keep calling and attempting. Um, I would say that's probably twice. And that was, and I can say it was really just I slept with them out of, you know, just out of spite. They just really thought they were the shit. And then their family, you know, thought they were all of this. And you gotta be careful with him, girl, because he's such and such and such. Whatever. No, no, let me show you how that's not true. Yeah.
So you reverse the power dynamic, right?
Yeah, like I really had no interest in sleeping with him, but I knew kind of the game that was being played. And so hey, you know, I love a challenge. So let me just show you how the real world works.
Were you attracted to him?
I mean, he was handsome, but not in a way that I would ever have considered like dating him. None of that. I mean, it wasn't bad sex, but it wasn't like mind blowing, you know, I'm, you know, in this trance from the dick dance either. So I was like, I just no, no.
Okay. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, how would you rate your freak quotient?
Oh, I'd probably say a 5. Yeah.
What makes you a 5?
I think I'm uninhibited. Well, I'd say maybe a 4, but I don't. So I'm gonna let y'all gauge it. So I would say a 5 because I'm pretty uninhibited. I'm always like, well, we should try something new. Let's try this. Let's do that. Let's do this. I am not interested in females. I'm not attracted to women in a sexual way. I can find a woman attractive. She can be beautiful. She can be sexy, but I'm not interested in being with her intimately. And some people categorize that as when they gauge your level of freakiness. What would you be with a woman? And well, I'm not sexually attracted to women. So and it wouldn't, it would, it just really wouldn't make sense. So for the things that I am willing to do with men, I would say I'm uninhibited.
Yeah, I think if we're being fair, being willing to sleep with women shouldn't really factor into that, because I think for most men like myself, that's a not even a discussion. So I think we could take that out of now. It is a multiplier, I would say. I think if you are willing to do that, then it's going to give you a boost of at least a 0.5 or +2 over there, like Mario. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be the mushroom.
So is that a boost only for women, so to speak, that if you were to say that, oh, you prefer women, but if you're willing to sleep with a man, that gives you a boost?
If a man is willing to sleep with a man,
Yeah.
I would say it depends on the woman.
No, I mean, in general, based on this question.
I can't answer for women. Y'all would have to answer that.
No, I mean, for a man, when you just said, if a woman is, says that she will sleep with another woman, you consider that to be a boost. You get
Yeah.
some extra points.
Yes.
So I'm asking you, do you have that same opinion for men? If a man is willing to be with another man, do you think that men get a boost as well? Is that extra points?
I'll be honest with you, Z. I'm not really worried about the men's boost or not. if I'm keeping it real, but I mean, I guess if he likes men and women, then yeah, that would give him a boost. But
I mean, I want you to look at it from the same terminology that you're gauging the women's level of freakiness, not whether you're interested in men or not.
But I can't though. I can't, because I'm not looking at a man as I'm looking at you all. I'm looking at you all like, okay, what's your number? And it's like, okay, well, damn, how sexy is she? How freaky is she? And that,
Yeah.
how
So
turned
how
on,
freaky
how
are
turned on
you?
how turned on will that make me? I'm not looking to be turned on by a brother. So that's a question more so for you all to answer, in terms of if this is a man that also likes men, does that make him more freaky in my mind, or does that make him somebody that I would prefer to stay away from? A lot of women that I know, they say, you know what, if he likes men, I probably prefer to stay away from that. But I mean, that's on y'all to answer, so I'm gonna flip it back.
But okay,
Does it give him a
so
boost?
based on what you said, somebody's number shouldn't depend on what I think of them. Their number is on them.
Yes, thank you, Miss Tay.
Okay, but we're talking about my opinion. Like we said, okay, it gives you a boost. I said, no, that gives you a boost, but
Not like you're trying to say everything except yes.
y'all try to put me into this corner where I'm gonna put right in, and I'm not gonna do that shit.
I seek the truth. I seek the truth around here.
I'm not gonna rate no man. Like, hey, bro, do you? Do you? But y'all skirting around the question. Does it make him more attractive to you? Does it give him a boost in your opinion?
Yeah, I think anyone that's willing to go outside of their comfort zone, anything that you're willing to do outside of your comfort zone that brings you sexual pleasure that you're aroused by, can boost your level of quote unquote freakiness. But I think just doing something just to do it, and it's not bringing any sense of pleasure, or even a general arousal to your sexual experience, that no, then for me, no, that don't give you a boost, because you don't know what you want and you're not willing to go for what you want, what you like. You're just willing to do what somebody else wants you to do. That has nothing to do with self-pleasure.
Does it turn you on? Does male on male sex turn y'all on?
No, I wouldn't say it turns me on, but I'll watch it. Cause I mean, like I could watch female on female sex, but I can also say that porn doesn't turn me on, but I'll watch it. Yeah, porn isn't arousing, but it's interesting to see the different things that are being done. And I might say, oh, I might want to try that for myself to see if I like it. But I'm not turned on or like get aroused watching it happen. I don't know why, but yeah.
Tay.
Am I aroused by two men? No. But again, I don't think what turns me on or off has anything to do with somebody else's number. And if I consider them a 5 or a 1, my opinion doesn't matter in that regard.
That's fair. That's fair. So outside of women, Z, is there anything that you won't do?
No, probably not. No.
Okay. So based on that, is there anything else left on your sexual bucket list? Anything that you want to try but haven't?
Not from I take that back. Yes. The one thing we talked about trying that, or I haven't tried, is like nipple clamps and like pressure point toys. That's probably the only thing that I've thought of to try that we just haven't just tried. Like, I would be like, oh, we should go to the store and grab some of those, and just never did. So like creating the pressure point, like using different toys and devices, that kind of thing, would be on my list still. Yeah. I think everything else that's on my list is more so around maybe something I've seen in a movie or in a porn or something like that, like taking a date night. And I saw like on one show, I think it was Ready to Love or something, where they had like set up this whole picnic in the back of a truck. And I was like, you could just put a mattress in the back of the truck and we could have sex in the back of the truck. Like that kind of stuff. But it's not necessarily a bucket list. It's just something that came to mind, taking another like date or something else and taking it to the next level, just being adventurous, that kind of thing.
Okay, so at the end of every show, we play a game called Nasty or Normal. I'm going to give you a sexual situation and you tell me if for you it's nasty or normal. So bringing food into the bedroom, is that nasty or normal?
That's normal.
Okay. I kind of figured that anyway. That was kind of a tame one.
Like, it was just like, hey, that's normal. That's normal. Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of food you like to introduce? Is it something, is it ice, or you fruit, or whipped cream? What's your
I think I have evolved to more like the ices, the candies, things that are less messy. Back, in the early days of sex, it was the whole whipped cream and chocolate and the fruits and all. That's just messy, and it just really didn't make sense. Once you have these damn strawberries and stuff in here, nobody want this hot mushy ass strawberries. No. So I've evolved past that.
Is it just me, or is like food play, like introducing food, it's a little bit overrated in my personal opinion? Like it's cool.
Yes, food
you
in
can
general,
try it, but yeah.
But like there's certain things like warm honey is really good for pressure points and that kind of thing. Like the candies, the mints, to create that warm and cool sensation. So for me, I guess I look at more of edible versus food. It is these things are edible and they enhance the sexual experience, like ice and cold things like that.
Listerine strips.
Yeah. So
What'd you call them?
Listerine strips.
Oh, see, that's how y'all get down, huh? Shoot, yeah. That does add something to it. I think those are things that are kind of slept on though, like the Hall's Mentholyptus or things of that nature. That does add another level to the game. They can spice things up. They can spice things
Yep.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a whole lot. I mean, you can start out, like you said, with the cinnamon disc or the halls or whatever. And that can start and be part of a moment, but it's not so messy, whereas you got this whipped cream and syrup and shit everywhere and all over the bed. You don't have to have all that. It doesn't take all that.
Mm. So one more question. So you kind of hinted at BDSM. Am I correct with that? That you good with that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't have any issues with that.
Now, are you a dom, a sub, or a switch?
I would say I'm a sub in my marriage.
So have you ever been?
He's not gonna let me be nothing else.
So in the past, have you ever been a sub? I mean, a dom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Damn. Which do you derive more pleasure from? Be honest.
The sub. Yeah. I derive more pleasure from, I think I have come to know about myself. My arousal peaks and gets higher the more turned on by me my partner is. The more that I know they are in desire and want for me, the more I'm excited and ready to give.
Okay. Well, Z, I appreciate you. I think she's the first married guest that we've had on the show. Am I right, Say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I appreciate it. It's
People.
represent for the married folk. Next time now is hubby open? Because like next time maybe we could get him on here. Would you be willing to do that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah,
next time
this
we
is
might.
great. This was a great experience. I love my conversate family anyway. And this was a great experience. Yes.
That's good. That's good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. We enjoyed having you. I appreciate you coming on. So, tell them where they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you would like to be a guest on a show or have a topic that you want us to discuss, you can reach us at cvadthepodcast@gmail.com. And make sure you like this video, comment, share it, subscribe.
Absolutely. Let everybody know about the show. We're having a lot of fun. We'll holler at you next time. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.